Hey everybody, it's Wiz and TMD back for our weekly betting preview for the week's PGA tournament. TMD, how you doing, my guy?
Doing great. Really excited for this one. I'm so happy that we get Arnold Palmer in this back to back. It's a nice little back to back before, once we get to that waiting point for Masters, that like 3 week span where you're kind of like waiting for it, waiting for it, waiting for it. It's nice to at least have these two big tournaments back to back to kind of satisfy that itch a little.
Well, like you said a couple of weeks ago, that this is like the meat and potatoes of the PGA schedule with two back-to-back signature events. Then we got some majors coming up in April and May, so it is a good time to be a PGA fan right now. Before we get into the players, I want to quickly talk about the Arnold Palmer because my boy TMD dominated. 3.4 units of profit, 12 and 8 overall. Once again, the pre-tournament bets. This is the week, by the way, that we're gonna get you positive on the pre-tournament bets. But he started on fire in rounds 1, 2, and 3, going up nearly 5 units in just those 3 rounds alone. And then for the first time in a minute, struggled in round 4. Did the tournament go how you expected? And what are some things that you learned from a prop betting perspective?
Well, digging through the records, it went the opposite because usually it's really hard for me to pinpoint winners in round one. And then round four is kind of the best because you have the most data at your disposal. You can kind of leverage different things. Full round bets, I was kind of in a pickle there. And I think what ended up happening was the Fleetwood Rory top 30 parlay. Fleets wasn't on his game. So then that kind of threw that off. And even if Fleetwood came back and was fine, Rory still withdrew. So it was, dumped no matter what. Was happy to get that Henley top 20. I think that was kind of a late decision, so happy it went that way. But I don't know. I felt like I had my finger on most of the stuff, most of the players at least, prediction wise. But we did have to unlock greens and regulation to kind of make our way through this tournament.
I wanted
A
to bring
little bit
that
of
up.
fairways hit.
I wanted to bring that up really quick because this was the most you've ever bet on something that wasn't round strokes. And in round 3, you went 4 for 4 on greens and regulation bets. What do you think is the reason for your success? Because you did 3 overs and 1 under, so it's not like you were just spamming positive stuff. And is that something you're going to continue going forward?
It's just when you can't trust the putter and you can trust people getting it on. Like, I mean, when you look down the board and you see all these like 71 and a half, 72 and a half, it's tough. And they put you in a tough spot where you're trying to predict someone to do well. It's just such a hard course. It's so up and down, and you never know when a guy's going to have a good day. It's so much easier just to stick to one little part. Like, even on Sunday, when you look at, I think I had Scotty's under, that he was really struggling to hit the greens, but then he hits the green every time, and it becomes like this weird thing where he's doubling holes more than once, and it's like if I were to just bet his round score under, I would have got blown away
But
because he
he,
finishes over
but
par.
TMD,
But he had so
he
many
had
birdie putts.
14 greens in regulation, so he must have had a good day and avoided bogeys, right?
Exactly. It's like you never think about the times where he doesn't hit the green. Oh, it's in the water, or it's here and it's there, and he's missing putts back and forth,
He missed a
and
two
just
foot
so
putt
like
on
it's a kind of
hole
tournament.
16 or hole 17, and I literally wanted to gouge my eyes out watching that. I could not fathom Scotty ever missing a 2 foot putt.
He was a bogey machine. I didn't get it at all. I mean, we both fell victim to taking the under bogeys. I think both were good reads just because of what we'd seen for the past, I don't know, 3 years. It just
Yeah.
doesn't happen a lot. Then boom, happens, and it's like, oh, okay.
Well, let's move on to this weekend. We are in Florida with the TPC Sawgrass, yet another TPC course. One of the more difficult courses in terms of hazards and traps. And we won't get too much into the preview of the actual course because this week TMD debuted Tour Talk, a WizBets Media Network PGA podcast where he just specifically went over the type of course that TPC Sawgrass is. 30-second summary. Can you tell us what you talked about in that show and why people should listen every Monday?
Yeah, on this one, we just talked about how there are two different archetypes. to winning here, but more so towards the players that keep it safe. There's just a lot of hazards, and to put the ball in the right place is so important. It's a precision course, not a power course. Now, if you have both, that's kind of the key. And so, kind of went down the line of what players fit that mold, what sort of certain stats are important, certain things to look out for, especially when you're modeling or just looking at different rankings throughout the week, maybe round to round betting what type of thing you should look for when you're on the PGA leaderboard, looking at strokes gained in different places, and just the types of people that do well because it's not a predictive course, so it's hard to pinpoint a certain set of guys. But we talk, or I talked in this one about what the right guys possess and what you'll need to see for the winner here.
Yeah, I mean, I highly encourage it. It's only 21 minutes, pretty easy listen, one car ride. And TMD was very professional in it. He did a pretty good job by himself. So I appreciate him a ton for kicking off the WizBets Media Network. But I want to talk
Thank you.
about the player field that we have in this tournament. Because very similar to last week with the Arnold Palmer Invitational, it's one of the more stacked cards we've seen in the entire year. And that's because I think among casual PGA fans, they consider the players as a major. And that's just specifically because of how much media coverage it gets and about what is it, $25 million purse this
That's
weekend.
exactly what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so talk to me about why this is known as the fifth major. What makes the players so special?
Well, the bag,
Well, yeah,
25 million is
yes.
big. It's high stakes, and so what that does is it draws in the best. And when you have the best field on a difficult course, that is just so major esque that yeah, players will count it in their head because they're like, well, what's the difference? It's just the trophy and the number on your record. Like there's some players that are like, nope, it's not a major. Others like Russell Henley spoke out a couple weeks ago. He thinks it is. Um, it's a really special one because of the difficulty and what it really takes to win. The weather down there is pretty bad too, so it just that even makes it a little bit harder. Um, but yeah, I don't personally think I don't count it as a major, but with the media attention that it gets and just how beautiful the course looks and how it's kept, it's a really big deal in terms of just where it lands on the circuit. It's almost people waiting for a major. It's the perfect tournament for that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited because we haven't covered many difficult courses. I feel like the first couple tournaments of the year get really easy. And this is going to be difficult in my eyes. There's not many courses where the easiest holes are par fives. I do want to mention that really quickly before we get into golfers that we're looking into, because you mentioned on your Tour Talk podcast, which again, download on Spotify, phenomenal listen, that this course has some of the highest eagle percentages, but the highest double bogey and bogey percentages. Is the reason simply just because of hazards, or is there another reason for that?
It's because of hazards. It The fairways are pretty narrow, and so when you're missing fairways consistently and you're in that thick rough, or again like we talked about hazards, if you're just missing altogether, it it just makes for a really tough time if you're not right on it. The guys who win here are the ones that are painting fairways, setting themselves up easily, and there are a lot of guys that can do that, but like if you have a bad day, like you're screwed.
And kind of on that same tier, how does a course like this affect how you bet it round to round? Because the first thing that I thought of when you said that on your podcast, I thought, okay, somebody like a JJ Spawn, I know is extremely inconsistent from hole to hole. You know, he can blow up on a hole or he could eagle a hole. We haven't bet a specific prop once, but something like pars, like under pars, really stands out to me if there's high eagle and high double bogey potential. Because if you get an inconsistent golfer like JJ Spawn, I'm all in on the under from that perspective. Does that make sense, or am I kind of reaching there?
Makes total sense, and you're right. I think the only reason why we're probably not eyeballing pars in more tournaments is just because it's like tough to. There's no like number behind it, but in theory, the way that you just described that, it makes perfect sense. I mean, we saw Max Grieserman last week. It was either a birdie or it was a bogey, and it happened for all 18 holes. He'd walk away with like 7 birdies and probably also 7 bogeys. And it's like in those cases where you see a streaky guy up and down. I know Justin Rose has put together a few rounds this year that look like that. Yeah, I mean, if you notice the pattern and you know it's there for a reason, go for it. So I think in under pars bet, we could see that on one of our cards.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be the right golfer. I mean, immediately a couple golfers that come to mind is Hovland at 10.5 for near plus money. JJ Spawn 10.5 for plus money on the under, and then anybody that has an 11.5, because that just requires 7 non-pars, so either bogeys or birdies. So Goddard is somebody that definitely stands out as
Oh,
inconsistent. Rose at ten and a
under,
half.
under.
Like there's,
Oh, under on Goddard.
I think there's some really good value on that a prop that we haven't touched much on the year. But let's focus on some golfers that we do have interest in. Obviously, the type of golfers we're looking for. I ask the same question every tournament. What is something that we're looking for, and what do you say every single time?
It's approach.
Always approach. It's always approach. If you're a good ball striker, you're generally going to do well. So I want to start off with Siwoo. That's the guy that immediately stands out to me. Was arguably, and we said it in a couple of the podcasts, the best golfer on earth in January and February. Started off red hot because he didn't need to be a good putter because his ball striking was phenomenal. Started off on Sony, finishing 11th, then a 6-2-3 finish in the next tournaments, and then struggled in Pebble Beach in the Genesis, but finally came around in the Arnold Palmer Invitational. What is something that you saw last weekend from Siwoo that you're like, all right, I'm ready to back this guy again?
Well, it's crazy that we can talk about the best ball striker of 2026 and a guy that can't seem to get a win, and it's somehow the same person. Um, I think the biggest thing about Siwoo's game is if you scroll back down to where you were, right? Back down to all those tournaments, all that green. And then do you notice that there's just red in one place? It's almost like he does, and he's never been a putter. Like that's never been his thing. He's a guy, he's the god of irons, right? And especially this year, we've seen it. I'm just kind of looking at Poetriv this week, and I'm like, okay, well, it, look, like there's a chance. Look at that line. It's just Poetriv's just a little bit easier for some of these, shit putters. Like it's just some of them just find a way to break even. And if he puts like that line right there, Wiz, that man's winning the tournament.
Because
In
all
my,
he
in
needs
my
is to
opinion.
not lose a stroke per round on putting. That's literally it's all it takes. Is that if he's just like average in the field, we know that he's probably going to be top 10 in approach. Greens and regulation are going to be phenomenal this week. He's the type of driver that we're exactly targeting in this course. Not somebody who's going to hit it 300 yards, but somebody that we know is going to at least be in the middle of the fairway most of the time, 250 out. And his 170 to 200 range is amazing. His accuracy, 170 out, I think is the best in the PGA right now at this moment. So I mean, I'm totally with you there. I think every time we do this, every time we cover these golfers, we'll talk about guys that have a really good putting on a specific surface, and then we don't back them, and then they do phenomenal. So I'm all in on this narrative, and I love backing Siwoo in the first couple rounds because once he gets a lead or once he's up there, I think the worst part about Siwoo's game right now isn't something that's actually about golf. It's all mental. He has struggled to finish in round 4. There are some golfers that in round 4, you know they're going to put up their best round. And that hasn't been Siwoo this year. There's been times where he's been in the top 5 and then he just falls apart in the back 9 or whatever. So I really like him to just be top 10 by the cut, you know? Is that a crazy thing to say or no?
No, that's spot on. I agree.
Okay. So obviously we like Siwoo. I want to mention somebody that you talked so highly about last week, and you didn't bet him, I think, once, and that's Colin Morikawa. You talked so
So upset.
much love about this guy, and he finishes fifth. What happened, man? You backed the Fleetwood wagon, but not Morikawa?
Told myself, I go, yeah, I'll get a better number after Thursday. And I saw him birdie, 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 and I was like, and then I saw Fleetwood struggle, and I was like, oh, perfect. At least I get to do this with Fleets. And then he just sucks. And I
And
was
that
like,
logic makes a
okay.
ton of sense. Like that logic is actually really good when you focus on live betting, like top finishes. Somebody that struggles in round one. I mean, people made so much money doing that with Scotty this year. You know, the logic made sense, and we talked about it last week that we both loved Fleetwood going into it. But I mean, we want to talk about somebody who's one of the better golfers on earth right now. Since Pebble Beach, I think Morikawa's got to be in the top 10 minimum. Like, what is he ranked right now? Top 5 at the moment?
Yeah, I think he's around. Well, he might have got bumped out. Well, no, no. Now that he won, no, he's back in for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so in the FedEx
'Cause he-
standings, he's number 1. And then in the world golf ranking, he's 4th right now. That's good for him, man. Because he opened the year like bottom 50. Like, he was like way down there. So nice to see him make this climb. But I really like him in this tournament. And one of the reasons we just talked about was Siwoo. Look at the strokes gained from putting since Sony. Missed the cut, lost about 2 strokes in putting. Finished 54th in the Phoenix, lost a stroke in putting. Won Pebble Beach, and he was technically negative on strokes gained on putting, which I don't think you will ever see that ever happen with somebody. Then he gained it a little in Genesis, but last weekend at Arnold Palmer, man, his putting was phenomenal. And he struggles a little bit in POA, struggles a little bit at Bermuda. POA Trivialis, he doesn't have a hard time against. It's fine. And he's really good in these like average to long courses. Like I really like Morikawa a ton this weekend yet again.
Yeah, he's not known to be a good putter at all. Struggles a lot in the short game, and I think that was the biggest scare going into his win was that no one took him because and the books weren't even pricing him like they were giving him kind of like a mid-range price, almost like a long shot price, just because he couldn't figure out the short game. And then, well, once he does, at least putting wise, that's kind of what we're looking at for Siwoo is that Siwoo can win all these tournaments or at least be in the top 5 for them if he just kind of gets back to a better baseline for putting. And that's what Morikawa's done. You absolutely, to go back to your point of like seeing guys that lose strokes and win, that happens a lot more than you think. But it's just, again, it's not a common thing. You typically need to be good at actually putting the ball in the hole. So it is surprising to see something like that. Not with Morikawa, because he is the archetype that could win losing strokes putting. And so can Siwoo. We just need that number to be, see how it's like a light pink compared to a red?
We just
We need it
can't
to be
have it
light.
be terrible.
Can't be terrible. That's all. That's really it. They're two of the best iron players, accurate drivers. They keep the ball dry and in play in the fairway, just setting themselves up. They're both, they can hit a 200 plus fairly easily. It's these two guys versus themselves, really.
Mm-hmm. I want to bring up somebody who's going in the opposite direction right now, and that's Hideki Matsuyama. Started the year off really well, 13 to 11 to 8 in the first couple tournaments of the year. But the Genesis and the Arnold Palmer, he really, really fell off. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we talk about Hideki as a good iron hitter and a good approach guy, and he lost strokes that way. His greens in regulation were terrible in the last 2 tournaments. We talk about Hideki, like you want to take his over greens and his under fairways. But it's been the opposite in the last 2 weeks where he's been hitting fairways, but he can't hit a green to save his life right now. Is this a tournament that you see him getting back on track, or is this a trend that you see Hideki continuing the next few tournaments?
Well, the part that I like is that at least he's figured out something that he had struggled with previously and that he's driving the ball well. I think the irons are just bound to come alive at some point. It does scare me a little, but it's only 2 tournaments, and granted, they are very, very tough. Like Riviera and Bay Hill, like those are 2 top 5 courses. So it's like I can understand someone maybe struggling there a little bit. Um, They're not necessarily like too comparable to Sawgrass, but look, like, and this doesn't even include Wiz in 2020 when they canceled the tournament. I mean, it was around this time, right? When COVID started. They canceled the tournament after he shot 9 under in round one.
Hmm.
Like, he just would have won that tournament. At least I think. I don't know. That's up there with the Jayhawks would have taken it if COVID didn't cancel, and all the different people talking about how their high school team would have won state. I'll add that to
Bucks
the
would have won
list.
the
I think
championship if it wasn't for the COVID shenanigans that year. That's all I'm
a
saying.
weird way to say Celtics, but that's all right.
Continue.
Yeah, we don't like we're not supposed to look at course history here because it's, so up and down. Like people are good and then they suck and then they're good and then they suck and it's hard to predict. But like when you see actual good course history, that I don't know, it's just kind of nice.
It's very funny that his last 6 times at TPC Sawgrass, he was either top 8 or missed the cut. Like there is no in between with Hideki, which is very, very like comparable to his career. If you did want to target Hideki, would you pay up for a top 10 finish, but not pay for like a top 30 and 20? Like wouldn't pay the value? Do you understand kind of what I'm saying there?
Yeah, no, I completely get it. I took the top 30 just because I'm not gonna get it at that price anywhere else, and I firmly believe he finishes well. If I were to ladder a guy and try to get the best price, Hideki has the best price.
Mm-hmm.
Like Siwoo's down 24 to 1 as an outright. That's insane. We'll never see Siwoo especially in a field like this. We'll never see him at that price ever. I mean, he's standing next to top 5 golfers. But Hideki, you don't even see on that screen yet. You got to scroll down. Like that's nice. I
Beginning of the
like
year,
that.
these two were reversed. Hideki was up here and Siwoo was down here.
Exactly. And it's like maybe they're kind of looking at that current form and saying, well, he doesn't really have it right now. I would agree with them. He doesn't have it right now. He
Mm-hmm.
just kind of sucked in back-to-back tournaments. Granted, they're hard courses, but still, he's supposed to be a guy who does well on hard courses. So it'll be interesting to see. And I don't like regret taking him top 30, but I just know that if he is on, it's going to be the easiest bet ever. So I'm willing to back him because I know he has what it takes.
Next thing I want to talk about, there are a lot of comparables you can make from the NBA to the PGA. Like I would say, Scotty is obviously the new goat. So somebody like a Jokic or whatever. Roy McIlroy is somebody who started off his career phenomenal, but injuries kind of took a toll. Maybe like a Paul George or whatever. But I'm comparing Russell
I'm
Henley
gonna
to
I'd never,
SGA.
please, never compare Rory to Paul George. That is so disrespectful.
I wanted reaction out of
Play
you.
podcast B. We doing the same thing right now. Us and Paul George.
Hot takes, you got to get that those engagements up. But I compare Russell Henley to SGA. Do you know why? Because his whole life is consistent. This man, outside of one bad tournament against the Genesis, refuses to finish outside of the top 30. I mean, doesn't have bad rounds, doesn't have a weakness in his game at the moment, even though like the approach has been medium in the last couple tournaments. But outside of Scotty and maybe Roy, I don't think there's a more balanced golfer right now than Russell Henley.
Yeah, he's up there this season with Siwoo. Um, how Ryan Gerard kind of started. I know that that hasn't gone super well, but like he's just a good finisher, and it's kind of who Hideki's been. Like just a guy that's gonna give you a good T20 and just he might pull out a win here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not a bad life to live. He does well in good fields. He does well at hard courses. He's not going to do great at bomber courses. He's not a bomber. He'll still go under par here and there, but it's these tough tournaments, especially the shorter length courses, um, where he kills it because
I
it's just
mean,
his thing.
the last 2 years, he's finishing top 20 75% of tournaments. That is unbelievably amazing. And you know what the craziest part about that is? He's finished top 20 in 75% of tournaments and he has one win. He has one win. He's only won once since 2022. So
That was a tough one too.
Like I haven't seen what TMD plays. I don't like taking a look at TMD's props before we took you our podcast. I'd have to imagine Russell Henley top 30 is on this list because I'm going to be taking it again because it's the easiest prop every single week.
Have you seen my Twitter?
I have not.
Boot up my Twitter real quick.
That would be so funny. And I swear, guys, I literally make an effort not to look.
See?
That's great. I know your tendency well, man. I know your tendency well.
Yep. It's just an easy play.
Yeah. Before we get into bets for the tournament in round one, I want to bring Scotty up for one reason. Well, two reasons. One, he's great. And two, this is the best price we've gotten on him this year. Plus 425 to win, 192 for a top 10 finish. His round scores in round one aren't like, he's usually 2 strokes ahead of the next closest. And that's not the case in round one. Something that, man, dude, this year, I think Scotty has to be like, at least like among expectations. Yeah, he's literally in the bottom half of round one golfers this year. Like he's losing strokes in round one. It's amazing. But with how good he is and how good, like, is there value in Scotty Scheffler today or this weekend?
Nope, negative. It's just like he's earned that price completely, but you don't just kind of do what he's done. Like it's like yeah, he's so good, but it's almost like he hasn't lost trust in the same way that another golfer would. He's lost trust in how he's priced. You used to be able to justify, a top 10 at that price. Well, no, not really ever. But, you used to be able to at least think about it, right? Like you'd think, oh, I might take Scotty at plus 900 for this tournament, but that's a 2 years ago kind of thing now. And he's going to get this price week in and week out until he just continues to do this over and over again. Now, round betting, yeah, maybe. If you can get the timing right, yeah. But it's just still, they're giving him the craziest lines all the time. They don't let up. And that's why it's just kind of hard to bet on Scotty.
I wouldn't mind something like this. I know it's like it's really juiced, but using it as a dejuicer for like a make cut bet with like a Morikawa and a Matsuyama, that I don't hate for Scotty, even though the price is insane. But yeah,
That I hate.
oh, you hate that.
Even Scotty's missed cuts here. Like this isn't like one of those court. Like I don't think any human being on planet Earth should bet a make cut parlay. I think the only suitable bets in the make cut would be at the very bottom, where you're picking like you pick like a Joel Damon. Like Joel Damon will make the cut. That is a actual reasonable bet. And like that's really the only thing I can justify taking, unless you're like so big on two guys that are hovering around minus 250, which even then I'd say, no, you're crazy. Don't take that because you never know. It's such a volatile course. It can go literally any way possible.
Okay, totally fair.
Even for Rory, even for Scotty, it's like
Can I bring
both
up
of them.
Rory really quick because for somebody who backed out midway, withdrew from the tournament, and screwed you out of some money, I cannot believe that he's priced like this if he's actually dealing with an injury.
Yeah, it's a little weird. It's cause if he's healthy, that's his price. And I think they're like, okay, well, if he isn't healthy, then why change it? Like if you're the books, you're like, well, we're just gonna give him these odds because he's either healthy or he's not. And if we price him like he's not healthy, that's just giving people free value.
Because one thing I hate about PGA betting is that they don't give you over unders on finishing position. I would love it if they said like, okay, Russell Henley over under 28 and a half finishing position. Scotty Scheffler over under 7.5 finishing position. Because Rory McIlroy's is probably at this price, it's about 13, 14 and a half. And I would take the under on his finishing position, not to finish like top 10 or something, you know? That's a betting market I would love to take advantage of.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Just I guess just way too much risk from the book's perspective, but obviously we love it because
Yeah,
I
I mean,
think it kind of
we're the fade gods. We love fading stars. So,
yeah.
all right, let's get into how you're gonna attack this. So, like we said, make a cut pretty much off the table. I will never bet a big guns bet ever again. That made me so angry last week. The two crappiest golfers competing in a playoff. Are you kidding me? Um, Top 40, I looked at a little bit. I think Kitayama has some value in top 40. I think Jacob Bridgman is playing well, but in a course like this, I would not probably take him. And then Spieth is around that range. I don't think top 40 has value, but as you mentioned, Russell Henley continues to get stupid top 30 lines. Hideki is top 30 as well. Is there anyone else in this range that you would be looking at just from a value perspective? Like Xander is down here at minus 112.
Yeah, I kind of just have one. I mean, all of those they're priced well. Like you're not gonna always see top 20s for these certain guys be the way that they are, especially when you look down to the plus money. Like, I don't know, you just probably won't see some of these names be priced that way for top 20. Usually everyone's just kind of sitting around like minus 120 and up all the way to like plus 130, and then you get to the mid or bad golfers. What I think is probably the best value, man, is like guys to make the top 10, because there's a lot of guys that just top 10 or cut. And I think like Adam Scott's one of them. Just he's a previous winner like 21 years ago, 22 now, I guess. And like he's playing great golf and he's old as hell, but like why can't Adam Scott get in the top 10? He's playing phenomenal golf. Like there's just risk obviously, but yeah, like an Adam Scott, a Kurt Kitayama, Sep,
I
Harris
was going
English,
to
that
mention
range,
Sep. Sep's been playing great.
like Maverick McNeely, like those guys right there, like they're not playing bad and they're getting priced like that.
Yeah, I mean, Akshay, sorry. He's around this range again. Little interesting. Um, Ludwig, I think, stands out from the value perspective. I think Hideki, a near plus 300 odds. We mentioned that he either finishes top 10 or he gets cut. I think that's pretty decent value. Like, if you wanted to do that for like a third of a unit to win one unit, I don't hate that at all. Um, Obviously, I think Morikawa will probably finish top 10. Siwoo, I'm not particularly a fan of. I think I would probably, for his price, I think I'm more interested in Siwoo from a round betting perspective than I am a pre-tournament perspective, especially Tommy Fleetwood. I'm not backing Fleetwood at all this weekend. But yeah, I think Hideki from a value perspective really stands out to me for sure. Before we get into winners, I want to talk about round one really quick. What are some lines that you're looking for? Maybe not from a specific player, but like if you see that number for that prop for a player that you like or want to fade, what are you kind of looking for?
I think for fairways and greens in regulation, but you know, probably more so greens. Just because the fairways are narrow, so that's where I target under. But yeah, sorry to make you go back
No,
and
you're
forth
fine.
here. But for greens and reg, it's like these are small greens, and I know it's kind of like a doy take to say smaller green, harder to hit, but like it's true. And when the fairways are narrow, it plays into that green, bet. You have to be more precise
I am
when
seeing a
you're driving.
lot of 12 and a halves right now.
Right, and I get it just because the way that they're gonna play, like all you're really trying to do is just hit the green, and there's gonna be an emphasis on precision. I think a lot of guys will get close to this number. I just think that there are certain individuals that I would not really take to get on the green all
I
that
mean,
often. I
JJ
know
Spawn
you're
has a
anti
12 and a
JJ.
half. That's incredible.
He just hasn't been playing the best. I see Marco Penge there as well. Like that's not really like he's a great driver, but I don't know if I'm going to trust his accuracy as much.
Mm-hmm.
Like same with Michael Brennan, just these some of these guys that and none of these are bad golfers by any means. It's just if I'm valuing the first two shots or in some cases three on the par fives, like I don't know. Like you can't just survive off par fives and par threes. Like you got to get to the nitty gritty par fours are tough to land.
Here's
So
here's the
I
thing.
don't.
I want to. There's one that really stands out to me. Like obviously, like when we talk about basketball, Luka Doncic, SGA, they're phenomenal basketball players. But if like I ever saw a 38.5 points line for a player, I'd immediately think about an under. Because I just think that's priced way too high because the probability of him going over is way too low. I don't think I've seen a 13.5 greens in regulation line before. And for a course
No,
that's going to be this hazardous, I think 14, 15 is about the ceiling for like nobody's going to get 16, 17, or 18 greens in regulation in round one, I don't think. So you're banking on
that's
Scotty to get 14 or 15. That is it. That's not a bad price for an under on Scotty.
no, it really isn't. And like he can obviously pull out those 14s, but I just don't think that that's. It's more of in like the no bet range. Like I don't want to contest Scott again, but
Is Scotty
yeah,
just kind of
it's
off the table for you? Are you done with Scotty right now?
no. I think there's a time and a place. I think I just got it wrong last week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, obviously went 0-2 with him after going 8-0, and it's like I like the reads, but maybe when we want to fade Scotty, we just say no bet instead of fade because he can prove you wrong at any point, and
Mm-hmm.
assuming that risk sometimes just isn't worth it.
You mentioned on your podcast that the 4 of the 5 easiest holes to birdie are par fives. If I want you to think of a golfer in your head, okay, somebody who can dominate par fives, would you take their over 4.5 birdies in round one?
I mean, yeah, like a guy like Knapp, like I could get behind Jake Knapp being someone who takes advantage of the par fives, like
Four
a
and a half for
Pearson
minus
Cootie.
104 over 4.5 birdies.
Yeah, like a Knapp, a Cootie, a Minwoo Lee, guys who are long that can attack well. I mean, Knapp's shown it all year. He's also been pretty good with the putter. Same with Cootie. Like it just that and Minwoo. I'll include him too. It's just they've been strong. I think we know that form matters coming in, and so yeah, those guys that have the distance can play holes well and like kill par fives. Rory is the god of it, but yeah, I might be looking at them just because they can get three, sometimes four birdies off the par fives alone.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Siwoo's at 4.5 as well. I think that's extremely interesting, in my opinion. I'd have to see how he's done course wise and how many birdies he averages. Because, like we said, at the top of it, there's going to be under par consideration for a lot of these guys because they're going to get a lot of birdies, but they could get a lot of bogeys as well because this course is extremely inconsistent. We mentioned it. I think Goddard and Justin Rose at under 10.5 birdies is extremely interesting. Goddard especially because Goddard could cover this line by just getting like 6 birdies. Like he could
Yeah.
dominate, especially I think on the par fives, but then really, really struggle on those 2 par 4s that you mentioned and get some bogeys. Like Goddard covers this line with 4 birdies and 4 bogeys, and that's not out of the realm of possibility in my eyes.
No. Yeah, it's just kind of if you see him kind of throw away a birdie chance and then par save on a bogey, do that a couple times and like that's where shit'll get crazy. But yeah, that takes a lot for that to happen.
Yeah. And then what round score are you looking for in this tournament?
I mean, I think we'll need to see it as it goes on, but like for round one, I think that everything's pretty decently priced. I do think that there are some fades that are a little weather dependent. Um, I think a lot of people are trying to use the AM PM wave like on Thursday and Friday to leverage how they're taking outrights, just because it matters a lot. Um, but I know that players that play in the morning on round two or post showers, they're going to get softer greens, like especially early in the morning. And I would say it's like a no bet on the PM guys for Thursday, just because sure you could fade them, but if they blow that horn and then they come out early the next morning, they're going to get the best time.
So anything
So
anything after 8:28 p.m. you're not taking. 8 a.m. I mean, you're not taking anything like a Hogard, Rogers, whatever,
no,
etc.
I'm not taking like the 10-11s, like the 10-11 noons for Central
Well,
Time. Like those guys.
what I'm saying is that like there's a all those guys start around the same time at 7 and 8, and then there's a 3 hour cutoff because they got to replace those golfers. So there's no, I don't think
Right,
there's
right.
anybody starting between 8:28 and 11:30. I can double check on that.
Is that true?
Let me double check.
I didn't know it was that big of a gap.
I could be wrong. I'm not wrong. Yeah, so there's a 3 hour gap between golfers, the tee times.
Okay.
So you're saying right here, these guys are the ones that you're targeting for round strokes and round one bets, but then you're not touching anybody after noon around this time, correct?
Yeah, it would take a lot. I mean,
Mm-hmm. So like
yeah, like it would have to be.
and you're saying like fades are okay. Like if I wanted to fade Goddard up or Justin Rose or something, but taking pro stuff here, you're not really interested in, or is it the other way
I would
around?
even I would say both ways. Like, if they blow that horn early and they have to finish their round and like got her up, I mean, I don't think it would happen this way, but like towards the end, if you wanted to take one of the last like four groups, like I would say the last four groups are probably just no goes because you don't know when the weather's exactly going to come in and like and with these guys that we're looking at here, like you're not betting on them anyways.
Yeah, but I
But
mean, like I would say Kitayama, I had interest in JJ Spawn, Seppa, Straka. Um, but yeah, I get what you're trying to say. All right, man.
it's just a safer, more yeah, yeah.
I want we're gonna do the same thing we did last week. Who do you think could come out of nowhere and win the tournament? Who do you want to win the tournament? And who is going to win it?
I don't think this is a tournament where you can completely come out of nowhere, just because most guys that win this have been playing well. But like Adam Scott, like I mentioned earlier, is definitely on my list. Um, I mean, I think that we could see Mav McNeely take it. I definitely think that both Daniel Berger and Jake Knapp could, in theory, win it. And then I'm gonna
There's no
end,
way
and
Berger
they're
can
all
finish
around
a
the same
tournament.
point.
Berger refuses to finish in round four, man.
Right. Yeah, yeah. It's been pretty bad. I also think Ricky is it might be a popular take, but like I think Ricky can absolutely he was right above the other names that you're at.
Oh,
Uh
I thought you were talking
can
about
can just show
Hoy.
up and ball. No, no, no. Rico Hoy, fuck no. No, Ricky Fowler and Jake Knapp are gonna be my other ones. Just those mid range guys.
Okay.
Um I think they can win it for sure.
Okay. Who do you want to win it?
It's a good question. Who do I want to win this tournament? Um I'd say it'd be nice to see like a not excellent golfer win this tournament, like not like a top 10, top 20 golfer. It'd be cool to see like Brooks kind of step back in and take this one after coming back from live. I don't think a lot of people would agree with me. Um, I do think like Jake Knapp getting the win would be cool. He's played so well this year, and with the withdrawal, like everyone hates him because he messed up so many DFS lineups and stuff. So yeah, I think Jake Knapp that'd be big. I'd enjoy watching that, even
And
though I don't
then
have a bet on him.
and then my last one. Who's winning?
I truly think it's Henley Morikawa or Siwoo. I'm gonna say Siwoo has a borderline putting week and wins it.
Okay. I think I lean. Ooh. Out of all the guys we talked about today, I think I'm with you on Siwoo. I think Siwoo has. There's no value, unfortunately, so it's tough for me to really recommend betting him at plus 2,400. Um, I think the value definitely is gonna be in Hideke's favor at plus 3,700 in my eyes. But if there was just no value, you just told me to pick a winner, I think I'd be with you. I think I'd take Siwoo. I'm interested to see what he
Yeah,
closes
just
at on Thursday.
it'll be. I mean, he shot down. He was close to 40. He was like 37 or 35 or something like that. And Data Golf came out with projections that said that he should be at 21. So he immediately received a ton of bets. And he's just generally modeled well. Probably like the books are modeling him to do well too. So combination of those two shoots him down to 24. He hasn't moved in about a day. But yeah, really tough. There's just you'll never see Siwoo in this stacked of a leaderboard be priced like that probably ever again.
So what you're saying is we need to record this podcast on Sunday nights for now on.
Yeah, I mean that's Pat Mayo experience. He does that like Sunday afternoon. The round isn't even over yet in the previous tournament, and he goes straight at outrights.
That's nice. That's weird. That's crazy. All right, man. Appreciate another awesome week. Make sure you guys tune in to Tour Talk every Monday. We'll catch y'all later. Have a good weekend, guys.